All right, I think it's time to get some predictions for tomorrow's Survivor Series. All 5 matches.
Yeah.
All right, so the first match, Santos Escobar versus Carlito.
Subscribe.
I found it strange that when, they brought Carlito back, like, with what they were doing specifically with Lashley and with the Street Profits, I wasn't a huge fan of the fact that they had the LWO go over, because I think it, stalled Lashley and Street Profits a little bit. All that being said, there ain't no way in hell Carlito needs to win this match. The big boss for Santos Escobar at this point is Rey Mysterio. And he's not going to get to Rey Mysterio if he doesn't beat Carlito. I think he's going to get some assistance tomorrow, and he will go over on Carlito. I don't know if that means that more members of the LWO end up turning and joining Santos. Whether Joaquin Wilde, I've been with him since we were Legado del Fantasma. I don't know if it's that way or if they bring in Nicole's favorite, Los Lotharios, to sell some timeshares. Oh, wait. That would be bringing in
Carlito's cousin and his brother.
Yeah.
The luchador or the matadors. Ole.
Anyway, yeah, I see no way in heck Carlito wins this match. Santos Escobar takes it.
Santos Escobar, and that's my lock of the pay-per-view. The only way Carlito wins tomorrow is if he wins by disqualification. That's it. And I don't see that happening. Escobar goes over, and he goes over clean.
Yeah.
Women's World
Escobar ends up. The only other possible scenario is Escobar loses but beats the holy heck out of Carlito.
Yeah.
Gets disqualified or something along those lines.
The referee decides to reverse his decision and gives the match to Carlito, which leads to Santos beating the shit out of Carlito even more.
But I would say I'd put that on the lower end of expectation.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. Women's World Heavyweight title match, Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark.
My lock for the weekend. Rhea Ripley is not losing this match. They've spent more time building her as part of the men's War Games match than they have building this match. And I think Zoe Stark, she has potential to do something at some point. It's cool that they're giving her this spot, but she's a placeholder for them until they have the Royal Rumble and have another big name, marquee matchup that they could promote.
I agree. I think I wanted to make her my lock, but I think Rhea Ripley's still going to win it either way. I just think that the way that they're booking Santos and that promo he cut last week, dressed up as Tony Montana, I really liked what he was doing. Santos is better as a heel anyway, but
right.
Rhea does go over.
Chris Brown saying Rhea in a squash and said the Spooky Pals just retained the tag titles.
That's right. They fought They just wrestled the Street Profits. That's.
Porque!
Gunther defends the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz.
I don't see Gunther losing this. I think for him to lose it, I think it's got to be at a big event, whether it's going to end up being at Royal Rumble or if it ends up being at WrestleMania. I think it would be a good thing for Gunther to go into Bash in Berlin with a heavyweight title, whether it's the Universal Championship or he has the World Heavyweight Championship. And as much as there's that pipe dream of, he's never going to lose the title, I think he'll lose it in some sort of fashion that doesn't make him look weak. Whether they have him defend the title in Elimination Chamber again, or something of the sort, where like, the odds are stacked against him and he loses. But I have a feeling that he beats the Miz here, and big things are on the way for him in 2024.
I'm going with the upset here. You have the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time going up against the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. The only way this match would be any better when it comes to quality of Intercontinental Champions is if Chris Jericho made it a triple threat.
And Randy Savage came back to life.
And Randy Savage came back to... And Bret Hart didn't have that stroke all those years ago.
Right. And
Mr. Perfect has to come back to life too.
Yes. And if he can't make it, have his son be his proxy.
And the honky tonk man has to blast somebody in the head with the guitar. I don't know what it is. All the years that I've been a wrestling fan and all the years I've watched WWE, it makes no sense for a guy who has like 3 or 4 wins in all of 2023 to win the Intercontinental Championship. It's the Miz. Miz is in, and I'm not even just saying it just to say it. The Miz is one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. He is grossly underrated for what he is able to do and all the stuff he has accomplished.
Think of how he elevated it when they had just done the brand split and they did Talking Smack. Yep. And he was so, according to Maurice, literally irate. He's like, I'm not Intercontinental Champion and you can't even find 5 minutes for me on the show. But they put him on Talking Smack, and then he had that moment with him and, Bryan Danielson. Or Danielson Bryan, or
Daniel Bryanson.
There you go, Daniel Bryanson. And he elevated that title not just by flipping out and like, I'm the Intercontinental Champion, damn it. But then he went and he had the feud with Dolph, which was my feud of the year. Yep. Miz did a lot of good things with that title, and I believe he had that title at one point during the Mizdow.
He might have.
And that just added another layer of it. But, he's had a good amount of reigns. He's had a lot of days with that title. It's not like, Mick Foley, who had the WWE Championship 3 times for a grand total of like 29 days. He's had it. I believe Miz has had that Intercontinental strap more days than any other person.
If he's not number 1, he's at least number 2.
Right.
Yeah, and the Miz has done a great job. He's one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions, if not the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And honest to goodness, if he did it, it wouldn't surprise me. I could see something like maybe Kaiser or Giovanni Vinci costs Gunther the match. If the Miz wins, he's not going to win it like clean, even though he's the face in the match.
Right.
Something like one of the guys from Imperium's either going to cost Gunther the title, or Miz is going to get help from his fellow Clevelander, Johnny Gargano, so that Jeff can have after Mark's Hall of Famer El Jefe can have a Gargano-esque Gargano situation, because the 2 greatest Cleveland sports entertainers will help each other, and one will become Intercontinental Champion once again.
Right.
We'll see. I don't know what it is. I just think that the way that they're booking, I could see the Miz winning this title.
Okay.
Although this is going to be one of those things that ends up on freezing cold takes. All right. First War Games match. Team Damage Control, which is Bayley, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and the women's champion, Io Sky, going up against Team Bianca, which is Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi Blackheart, and just announced last week, Becky Lynch.
If Triple H truly is trying to book Japanese wrestlers better, you add new members to a faction. The good idea would be to have that faction win, and I'm going to go with Damage Control winning this match. I think Damage Control is getting pretty bloated, not NWO bloated, but bloated a little bit. So I think at some point we're gonna have a member or two out.
Yeah,
But all that being said, I'm going with them winning this match. I don't know if they want Kyrie to, have a strong performance and get a pin here. I don't know if they want the women's champion to do this. I don't know if they want to sit there and have a little dissension in the ranks and, have Bailey get the pin like EO is going for the pin that pulls her off and like does her ending move and something like that. But Damage Control.
I agree. Damage Control wins. I'm convinced that Shotzi's in this match to eat the pinfall, but I could be wrong.
Sure.
I'm going to go a step further, and I'm going to do like what we were doing many years ago on this podcast when we were trying to predict when DIY was going to break up. And I'm going to say not only does Damage Control win, but somehow Bailey gets kicked out of Damage Control.
Okay.
I'm sure it's going to probably happen sometime right before WrestleMania or right around WrestleMania. But I'm going to do this every pay-per-view that Damage Control is in this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to predict that Bailey gets kicked out of Damage Control. Like I said, I was going to do some crazy predictions for this.
All right. Chris Brown saying he's going with Team Bianca. All right.
And the last match. Team Cody Rhodes versus Team Spooky Pals. The Spooky Pals, consisting of Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Bobblehead Joe, Dirty Dom, and Drew McIntyre, going up against the team of Team Cody, which is, of course, adrenaline in my soul. I am Captain Cody Rhodes. Oh! Cody Rhodes, World Heavyweight Champion Seth Franklin Rollins, main event Jey Uso, one of my personal favorites, Sami Zayn, and the GOAT, the Viper, the Legend Killer, the returning Randy Orton.
There are so many moving parts with this. There are so many storylines that they could have long-term storytelling that could be interesting cogs to keep things going forward. Rollins and Cody Rhodes haven't necessarily like been on the same side a lot. There's a lot of like stuff between the two of them. Jey Uso clearly has stuff between everybody. And
like we've said about Randy Orton's been there long enough that Randy Orton's got shit with everybody.
And he's a Viper, he's a snake. He could turn on you at any moment. All that being said, Triple H wants the fans to go home happy. They go home happiest when they see 20 RKOs and a Randy Orton pin. So I'm going to say Randy Orton gets the pin. I think they're going to hold off for at least a little bit of time before we get the Cody versus Randy match. That's my guess, so I'm going to go with Team Cody with this one.
I agree with you, and not only am I agreeing with you, Randy Orton does get the pinfall, but bobblehead JD McDonough is the one that eats the pinfall.
Okay.
How many RKOs do we see tomorrow? If I set the over...
I'm gonna go. I was gonna say my under over would be 5.5.
I was gonna say that's exactly what I'm gonna set the over under at is 5.5 because the 5 dudes in the match, and that either leaves one of his teammates or Rhea Ripley definitely eating. And I really do think Rhea Ripley's eating an RKO tomorrow.
Chris Brown saying 4 RKOs are what we're going to see. That is not a bad pick. He said to Priest, Dom, Rhea, and Cody. Okay, I think everybody wants to see Dom eat an RKO.
Oh, Dom's. I can almost guarantee you Dominic's eating an RKO, JD McDonough's eating an RKO, and Rhea Ripley's eating an RKO. If, by chance, Randy Orton, after War Games' match, were to RKO any of his teammates, who do you see it being?
I think the smart money would be Cody. One thing they can do if they want, that they were hoping to do a year and a half ago, that they could, since the Spooky Pals and the Bloodline kind of have you know, helping each other a little bit here, they could try to start setting something up with Orton and Roman for Royal Rumble. There are a lot of ways they could go. And quite honestly, the wild card in this is Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming back as a babyface. We have not seen him in quite a while, and again, he's the Viper. You never trust a snake. You turn your back on him, snake will stab you in the back.
He's going to RKO Jey Uso tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you why he's going to do it. Number one, Jay and Jimmy were the ones that kind of took out Randy Orton. That's why he's been out for the last year and a half. They kayfabe wrote him off TV because of Jey Uso. You could tell on the look in his face when it was announced that Randy Orton was going to be the 5th member of Team Cody that he wasn't very thrilled about that. And since Cody was the one that brought Jey Uso to Raw, Randy Orton RKOing Jey Uso could be that first step in the direction towards Randy versus Cody at some point down the line. I think that the one person who is the most safe from no RKO tomorrow is Sami Zayn. Anybody else in that match can get an RKO. I don't see Sami Zayn being the one that gets it.
Tinfoil hat. I don't think they'll go this direction, but what if Cody Rhodes RKO'd Orton?
They'll start the heel turn a little bit sooner than people were expecting?
I'm just saying. I know that he is hot as all get up right now. He's doing a lot of good things.
Okay. I don't hate it. Wait, what if instead of an RKO, he hits him with a Cody cutter?
I mean, that would make more sense, but if he was trying to embarrass him and what have you, that could be a way to go.
What if the way he embarrasses Randy Orton is he puts a paper bag over his head?
That could be mark out moment of the year possibility for me. And I mean, we're in, like the 8th inning right now.
We're in the top of the 8th with one out and a runner on second.
Yeah.
So I know that Paul said that the Romans in the 3rd inning. No, we're in the 8th inning. There's a pitching change. They're singing Sweet Caroline right now.
Yeah.
I got one last question. And then we can get to the next thing.
Yeah.
Do we see Pepsi Phil tomorrow in Chicago?
No.
Okay. I agree with you.
We may see him in Chicago, but we won't see him
at the United Center
live event.
We will not see him at the United Center. He's going to buy a ticket and show up as a fan.
That would be the biggest troll job ever. What's CM Punk doing here? And if he got the front row with the hard camera, you could tell he would make such a stink if they tried to move him from that seat.
Like they did to Enzo all those years ago. That's all we need. We need CM Punk showing up in the first row. They give and they have, and Caleb Braxton shows up. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
Yep.
Say hello to the bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is it for the predictions.